YouTube, welcome to the party. I am Party Ball, and this is my channel. Here, we're going to be discussing the world of nerd culture. Video games, comic books, television, whatever. For the television aspect, however, we are going to specifically be talking about the Arrowverse. While Netflix was trying to find their own niche on the superhero small screen and succeeding well with the likes of Daredevil, the CW had kickstarted their own universe on television with the Arrowverse. Beginning with the adventures of Oliver Queen on Arrow back in 2012, the universe that has spun off its founding member has seen well over 400 episodes spanning over 4, soon to be 5, and canon confirming 6 shows on the CW. Thanks to the popularity of Oliver Queen, The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, and soon-to-be Batwoman have all found homes on the CBS-owned network. Now the year is 2019, and one of the greatest comic book stories ever written by Marv Wolfman and George Perez is being adapted to television. This is known as Crisis on Infinite Earths. In the Crisis of Infinite Earths story arc, behind the scenes, DC was trying to pull all of its confusing continuity into one. In fact, it was a Flash story that was the catalyst for DC to partake in the massive undertaking that would eventually be known as Crisis on Infinite Earths. This story involved the original Flash Jay Garrick and the more well-known Flash Barry Allen. This story was called Flash of Two Worlds. In this story, Barry vibrates so fast that he skips across the multiverse and finds himself in Keystone City, home of Jay Garrick in another universe. In Barry's world, Jay Garrick is simply known as, and well, this is pretty meta, a comic book hero known as the Flash. To Barry's surprise, Jay is very real with his own very real problems. Together they take down a trio of Jay's villains, and due to the popularity of the story, DC started to explore their own multiverse. Similar to how the Monitor is portrayed during the events of CW's second big crossover, Elseworlds, the Monitor is trying to unite the best of the best to take on the Anti-Monitor, something we aren't aware of just yet. The evil being that was taking over worlds within the DC multiverse. Now, the two biggest takeaways from the Crisis on Infinite Earths story that are relevant to the CW's portrayal of this event are the deaths of Kara Zor-El and Barry Allen. Most notably, Barry's death. Anyone familiar with the Crisis story knew what this was hinting at. However, back then, we only had 2 shows, Arrow and The Flash. Now, we've added 3 more shows and possibly a 4th with Black Lightning. Simply said, a lot has happened since then. We've seen the death of the Black Canary, the emergence of Wally West, the marriage of Barry Allen and Iris West, and Kryptonians on Earth. Needless to say, we have come a long way since Oliver left Leanne Yu. So what am I here to discuss with you? Well, this is an unprecedented event that requires coverage from all corners of the world. My goal is to be able to bring you the latest news of this impending crisis and be able to have a huge discussion here on YouTube and on Twitter. This will be the largest undertaking in television history, and I plan to be there for it. In this particular video, we're going to be discussing an interview that the star of Arrow, Stephen Amell, had with Entertainment Tonight. And he had this to say regarding the upcoming finale.
I actually know less about this year than I typically know. And I've been excited to, every episode, it's really been like, every episode feels like a special episode.
Stephen here mentions that the 8th season of Arrow feels like a special episode every episode. And while, yeah, Amell has made claims of the quality of the show in the past, I mean, he's a salesman for his own show after all, this still excited me a little bit. You see, when Amell mentions the special episodes, I can think of maybe the episodes with Slade Wilson appearing, or, of course, the Season 5 episode Capuchin, the one where Adrian Chase locks up Oliver, and you just have to see it. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're watching this. Anyway, just go watch it, alright? Amell alludes to the fact that he is almost an outsider watching the season because he says that this is the least amount he knows regarding the season, so he's still kind of being surprised every time they do a new episode. And this clearly excites him. It clearly excites me. Let's keep watching.
I all feel like they have a theme. Like, when they do the promo and they go on a very special episode of, that's what every episode this year feels like.
All we've heard this off-season has been Arrow Season 8 is pretty much a love letter to its fans. So you have Episode 1, which is going to be kind of like a callback to Season 1. Episode 2 is a callback to Season 3, and Stephen mentions that Episode 3 is dealing with family, which is something that Arrow has recently tried to push. So, you have Oliver with his kid, you have John with his kid, Renee with his kid. So the idea of family is becoming a large aspect of this show. Mel goes on to describe the 8th season as every episode, when you hear a voiceover go, "This week on a special episode of." He says that's how every episode feels this year, and as a fan, that excites me. because those episodes of Arrow typically are the best ones that they do produce. We are getting 10 episodes this season, and there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't pull out all the stops. This is their final season after all. We know we're getting a ton of returns this season, including Tommy Merlin, played by Colin Donnell. He also played Prometheus over on EARTHS during the Crisis event 2 years ago. We are going to be getting Josh Segarra. Adrian Chase is coming back. That special appearance he had last year was just phenomenal, and I'm excited for his return. Probably more than Tommy's or this next one. Susanna Thompson, Moira Queen, so the mama of Oliver and Thea, will be back. Whether she'll be in her normal role, I would have to imagine maybe it's a flashback of sorts, or perhaps during his multiverse travels that he sees her again. Of course, that's probably the same for all of these guys, because everyone I just mentioned is dead in the Earth 1 side of things, so it'll be interesting to see where they come in and how they come in. And of course, there's got to be many more comebacks that we aren't aware of. Are we going to see Thea come back? Are we going to see Slade come back? Are we going to see Robert Queen come back? This is what the season brings us in terms of excitement. And me personally, I can't wait, because there's so many surprises that could happen, and there's still so much we don't know. And the possibilities are endless, because Oliver's traveling different Earths. He's traveling the multiverse. So that opens up the door for any old returning character to come back. It even brings back the idea that, hey, maybe you get someone like the Huntress comes back season from Earth 1, rather. Things like that.
You teased that we can expect a happy ending. Can you elaborate on that?
That's just because I love all series finales. I love Seinfeld.
Now, Stephen goes on to mention calling this a happy ending. I don't think he meant Oliver Queen's going to necessarily have a happy ending. I think Stephen Amell is having a happy ending. He likes the way the story is going to end for Oliver, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be happy. Considered a happy ending something with resolution, and I think it's a little facetious when we're talking here, and maybe using that word or that phrase is probably not the best way of describing it. But Stephen has been known to kind of muddle up phrases and muddle up wording of things to kind of throw off the viewer, and I can understand that. You don't want to spoil anything. Now, many have speculated and theorized the fate of Oliver during Crisis. Me personally, as someone that's watched television and movies for a long time, and anytime something gets beat into your brain of, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, seriously, this is going to happen, it usually doesn't happen. Or at least if it does, it's not in the way that they're presenting. Now, what people have been speculating or theorizing on YouTube, Reddit, whatever it is, Oliver won't die, but he'll be brought to the paradise dimension. You remember the very end of last season when Felicity walked with the monitor towards some kind of beaming light of sorts? Felicity didn't die right there, but she was ready to go home to Oliver, which is what the monitor was hinting at. Now, me personally, I was kind of hoping this future is always in flux, because I wasn't a fan of that storyline, but again, that's another separate video discussion. But I think they're being way too obvious that Oliver's going to die in this crisis. I have seen your fate, Oliver, and it is impending. I don't think it's impending in the way that we've been told. Why would you do that? Why would you say over a year in advance, hey, you're going to die, dude? We just spoiled our big event that we've been, building up for 5+ years. You're going to die.
Believe it or not, here's a scoop for you. I tell a joke or two.
What?
Yeah, try to be humorous.
Oliver Queen is funny?
Are you fucking kidding me? Oliver Queen is funny? You out of your...
Boy, have you lost your mind, because I'll help you find it.
And the interviewer is obviously a fan of the shows. But it is good to know that Stephen recognizes the source material even with the interview.
Now we're adding in a 6th show, even though we're not doing a 6th hour.
Okay, so earlier in the video I mentioned a possible 6th show being added, and that would be Black Lightning. Cress Williams in an Instagram post confirmed what we thought was a suspicious report regarding it, but then officially, Oliver, Stephen Amell himself, confirmed this as well, which is awesome news, because it's weird that he is on the same network as every other show in the DC universe. It is a DC show. It is created by Greg Berlanti and his team. Granted, it's filmed out in Atlanta instead of Vancouver, But it was weird that there's this one show that had no connection whatsoever, and it's good to finally get that confirmation. And it'll be great to see Black Lightning and hopefully a little bit of Thunder and Lightning in there as well. We don't know yet. This all we know though is for sure Cress Williams will be in Crisis, and Oliver, Stephen Amell, confirmed it himself.
One thing that I can tease is that there are no rules. And I'm playing 2 characters.
Now, before I heard Amell mentioning that he was only playing characters named Oliver, I thought back to something I saw recently. So needless to say, I had a very outside, let's just say, I was very hopeful that, holy shit, we are getting a live action Terry McGinnis. Unbelievable. Huh. And Stephen Amell's going to play him? But then I was like, oh, okay, let's back up. DC is not going to use the Arrowverse to show the very first Terry McGinnis in live action. That's just not going to happen. We're probably not even getting a true Batman. We're getting Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne. I don't think we're going to have Batman in a suit. I've been wrong. I hope to be wrong. But this just doesn't seem the place to throw something like that in. Anyway, Stephen Amell mentioned in a prior interview that he's only playing multiple characters named Oliver. Now, there's also another thing he mentions in this clip. He mentions that we haven't seen this character before. And initially, and I thought that, and I was thinking about my Terry McGinnis idea, is that, okay, we have seen him on TV, just an animated version. We've seen him in comic books. We haven't seen him on a live action aspect just yet. So he's still qualified. And also, there's a costume that Stephen Amell had to get fitted for. He wore it, he saw it, he mentions it in this video. So it's still fit. However, there's a caveat of he's only playing characters named Oliver. So who could this be?
So I saw that character's costume today. It was great.
The most realistic answer here is Deadeye. Now, Deadeye fits every single hint that Amell has dropped at some point. He's playing multiple characters, all named Oliver. He is wearing a costume, and we have not seen this character on screen before. Now, I mentioned this character is named Oliver. Who is Deadeye? Deadeye is the Earth 3 version of Oliver Queen. However, he is an evil version of Oliver Queen. I feel like a rerun because we just saw an evil Oliver only 2 years ago during the Crisis on Earth X event. But this feels like it might have a much more personal take and not the Iron Fist ruling Oliver. And it just seems like it might be more grounded. Now, you may be wondering who Deadeye actually is. And if you search Deadeye DC Comics on the internet, these are the 2 things you find. So if you're interested in learning more about the character of Deadeye and you want to see maybe the first and only video YouTube would have on the character, leave a comment and let me know if you are interested in seeing more about Deadeye. We'll talk about maybe more of his history and his appearances and kind of go from there. So what did you think of Amell's most recent interview? Did I uncover a small nugget of hope for a first live action Batman Beyond? Or are we going to get our very first appearance of Deadeye on DC television? Or am I just wrong on both accounts? Leave a comment below. Leave a like. Subscribe. It helps our channel grow. Helps me know that, hey, you like this stuff. So don't forget to head over to mixer.com/partyball. Over there we'll be playing some of my favorite games. And we might even do some live reaction videos to the Arrowverse shows as they happen. Specifically, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Until next time, party on.